This episode is brought to you in part by California Inspection Authority, Southern California's premier property inspection experts. Guys, it's David from Trail Adventures TV. I'm here with Crystal. We're out here in Phoenix at the Swansea Mine, and over the next 3 days we're going to be exploring some of these great old mining trails. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and stay tuned for a great episode. We broke camp shortly after breakfast in Parker, Arizona, headed for the Swansea Mine. Now, this old copper mine is part of BLM land, so tread lightly.
What is it now, Dave? Got a Gladiator? You think he's Captain America? I know.
The roads leading out to the Swansea Mine are well maintained, easily navigated by any 2- or 4-wheel drive vehicle. This was our first shakedown of the new Jeep Gladiator build. I was amazed at the performance of the Fox factory team race shocks. Even at high speeds, the Gladiator performed flawlessly. There is something to be said about being able to explore your neighboring states. Having an adventure like this is just what we all needed. The skies were overcast and the temperatures were mild, but that didn't dampen our spirits. We were getting increasingly excited to reach our destination. George Mitchell built a 2-story home for his wife Mary and his 2 daughters. Construction on the 2-story home started in 1907 and was finished in 1909. It was their primary residence, office, and sometimes even a hotel. The structure featured a wraparound porch, numerous palm trees, a large orchard, and even a tennis court. All that remains now are some mounds of dirt and deteriorating foundations. The home was constructed with a thick adobe wall which provided additional insulation from the desert sun. The last time the home was occupied was approximately 1943. The home was occupied by different individuals over the years, but it was mostly used by the general manager. It was eerily strange walking along the relics, ruins, and walkways, the same areas the miners occupied 113 years ago. This is the concentrator and flotation plant. There are massive foundations buried beneath the waste rock pile. The concentrator and flotation plant actually replaced the smelter that was built between 1918 and 1919. The plant was built into a hillside. Gravity was used to help with the mining process. The sparkling green materials are called fines. There were a series of ponds to the north that helped the concentrator separate the materials. These concentrators would produce nearly 98% pure copper. The concentrator and flotation process greatly reduced the amount of money it took to render the copper to about 13 cents per pound. In 1920, Charles Clark sold his remaining portion to his partner and engineer, George Kovalkorisses. George was able to clear nearly $2 million from the high-grade copper from 1921 through 1924. American Mining and Smelting Corporation obtained a lease on the land in 1929. They made a number of improvements to the concentrator just before the Great Depression. The downturn in the need for copper during the Depression sealed their fate. In 1937, the remaining employees cut up the steel and railroad materials to help recoup some of their lost wages and left the area for good. At its peak, the Swansea Mine area featured a post office, a lumberyard, a physician, a general store, and even 2 cemeteries. Now that lunch was over, it was time for a different adventure. We were not going to take the same route back. and just around this bend, things were about to get very interesting. A narrow shelf road with a 500-foot drop on one side and the mountain face on the other. Absolutely no room for error. At this point, the only thing on our mind was getting everyone off the mountain pass safely. Once off the shelf road, it was just a small trip back to camp, but before we arrived, we were treated to one of the most amazing sunsets. There's nothing better than knowing everyone got back to camp safely. After dinner, we all gathered around the campfire, and everyone had a story to tell. I'll tell you what, that shelf road was still top on everyone's list. What a great day we had. Hey guys, so it's day 2 of our little off-road adventure, our, what do they call it, the winter expedition. Yeah. And yesterday we had a nice time on the trails. Guys, this is Billy with Rocklander Project. And Billy's one of our followers. We follow him on Instagram, and he also watches some of our videos on YouTube. So it's always good to meet some of our people out in doing what we love to do, and that's in the off-road community. So yesterday, got a little sketchy on some of that shelf road yesterday, right? Yeah. Now, you're pretty much at home because you don't baby this thing.
No.
This thing's been broke before, guys. And it's only a 2019 Jeep JL. So tell them some of the things that you've already, some of the punishment you've already put this through real quick, and some of the repairs it took for you to get even out here today.
Well, to get it back on the road today, the last time we took it out, Carruthers Canyon in Mojave, I actually exploded the RCV outward.
You heard that?
So it looked
like wasn't break. He used the word exploded.
So it came out, had to replace the axle, had to replace the RCV, had to replace the front ring and pinion. So it was a pretty catastrophic failure.
And so that was some of the repairs you had to take care of just before you got out here?
Just before we got out here.
Wow. So yesterday was our first day actually wheeling the Gladiator, since we did the lift, tires, wheels, gears, and everything. So I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, for it being the wheelbase that it is, it really didn't have much trouble with anything yesterday, and it performed like super on the long stretches when we could just open it up and let it eat. So
that looked great.
That was a good time. So what was the best part of the trail for you yesterday?
You know, that shelf road was pretty hardcore. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, you know, we weren't climbing obstacles, but man, I mean, your tire was hanging off the edge for at least 3 miles. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That was definitely probably the highlight for me as well. But the part that I love best is that if you're by yourself, right, or it's just you and a couple buddies, and after you get off that shelf road and it landed you in that little flat spot down there with that great scenery, the mountains in the background, that would have been a great spot to camp overnight, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. So we had the campfire going till about 2 in the morning. We lost Overland Phoenix, or what was his name?
Yeah, I think
Flagstaff Overland. We lost that guy.
He's MIA.
MIA this morning, but a little too much to drink. But the rest of the crew stayed up till about 1 or 2 in the morning, had some great conversation, told some good stories. It was pretty chilly last night. How did you sleep?
I did well.
Did you do an electric blanket, buddy heater, anything?
No, man. Gazelle, a comforter, and a sleeping bag on a cot.
Done.
Just have to get off the ground. That was the trick.
Yeah, we had a little buddy heater, so you know, Crystal's with me, so we have to go kind of a little bougie on the camping for her. But anyways, guys, so stay tuned. We got a little bit more content bringing your way today. We're going to go to the desert bar, going to hit a few more trails. We'll bring that content to you soon, so stay tuned. Awesome. Yeah. So still day 2, our winter expedition. Yes. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for putting all this together. So yesterday, quite an experience, right? We had all this flat fire road that was boring as hell with stop signs and almost we had turn signals too.
And then I'm gonna blame you for the pucker factor, because Dave comes over and he's like, "When's this gonna get hard? Like, this is lame." So we made it hard.
Yeah, well, it's funny because they say difficult, but you don't know if it's 3 diamond difficult, 4 diamond, whatever. You know, you don't know how difficult it's going to be till you dive into it. We didn't really have a chance to put the drone up and do any pre-expedition of the area because, you know, when I'm driving I can't fly the drone at the same time, but it worked out. In the end, it worked out.
It was a really fun trail.
I was following behind Joey D, and Joey D, guys, he drives the Gravedigger of Jeeps for the most part.
I call it Optimus Prime.
Yeah, Optimus. Super wide axles, so wide that when he stepped out of his door, he was ready to go down
even the Ranger, which is narrow, there was 6 inches to a foot on this side to the cliff. 6 inches to a foot on this side to the mountain face. So there wasn't a lot of room to get in and out of anywhere.
Yeah, no, but super fun. And we just got done talking to Billy from Rocklander Project. And for me, almost the highlight of that was when we got to the very end of that hairball situation, and it opens up to this great little campsite with the mountain view in the background, the big plateau. It was just really gorgeous.
It was, everything has been beautiful here. It's been, everything has the picturesque desert landscape, and the sunset last night on the way back to camp. Like, I literally stopped to take a picture because it was so beautiful. You know, we didn't know what to expect, but it's been good so far.
Yeah. Now, was that probably the most sketchiest stuff you've had the Ranger on so far since you've owned it?
Sketchy in that it was what my wife calls cliffs of doom. Yeah. Like, it was narrow. If there wasn't a cliff on the left, the actual terrain wasn't horrible. It was the X factor of if you tipped just enough, you were going down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that was pretty sketchy. I've done some good stuff in it, but that scared the crap out of me.
Right, right.
And I was telling the story this morning, as I'm going up the trail and everybody's following me, I'm on the radio going, hey guys, this is pretty gnarly. I don't know if you want to come up here. Hey, is anybody listening to me? Maybe you shouldn't come up here. And I look down and my radio's dead. Oh, shit. And I threw the radio and I grabbed,
just keep following
and I grab another one. I grab another one and I'm like, hey everybody, and I turn around and everybody's behind me, and I'm like, too late now.
No room to U-turn. So I could even tell, I could hear it in your voice a little bit when you're guiding people. Like, there was a sense of concern.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Especially like for Crystal. You know, Crystal's my lady, so, and she gets petrified sometimes. You know, she's still learning, but she gets petrified where she'll lock up behind the wheel. Yeah. But I think, you know, she told me, she says, I could kind of hear in Cody's voice that he was concerned, and she goes, it kind of made me more concerned.
Well, it was either the concern or the fact that I was going to die, because once I got to the bottom, I had to run back up to guide everybody, and it was a lot of running. So, yeah. But yeah, I was concerned. I wanted to make sure that everybody made it through safely, no damage to any vehicles, and but we did. Everybody did a really good job.
Yeah. So tell me, how is the Icon suspension working? I know you're still putting it through its paces, running hard and doing all that. Any adjustments you'd like to make or you'd like to see on your truck?
No, at this point, I'm getting used to, or as far as the rear suspension, and because there's no weight back there, there is a dialing it in depending on how fast we're going, but it's amazing.
And that's fully adjustable back there?
Yes.
Okay, so that's good, because, you know, like with our trucks, what do? We load them up, then we unload them. So we set them for the load we have to carry, and then, yeah, it's kind of like back and forth a little bit.
You always have performance, you know, and it's, I can't complain. It's amazing.
And you say our trucks. How'd you think the Gladiator did yesterday?
So the Gladiator's just, it's a whole different animal. I mean, obviously with 38-inch tires, I have more air that helps soften the ride, but the Fox Team Race Shocks, once I got those dialed in, I could have hit that road at 90 and it wouldn't have made any difference.
Yeah.
It just, and the body was just.
There was at one point we'd separated from the group. The group had gone out, and then Kevin Jones and I were in back, and we ended up in this wash, and he was like, let's see what this Ranger can do. And I was doing 70.
Oh, I heard that.
I was doing 70 through this wash, and I was like I had more to give, and yeah, it's fun. It's fun when you get to do that, because you know your equipment's going to work.
Yeah, and you don't have the big worries or concerns. You know, like I said, the ZR2 is still a great platform. I have nothing negative to say about it, but it was just really hard when you're pigeonholed into that DSSV shock scenario, and it's not adjustable. It's pre-adjusted for that rig, but yeah, I mean, things change. You know, you add weight, you take away weight, like we were talking about, and that adjustability is key.
Yeah.
So today we're going to the Desert Bar.
Yep.
I understand, and. I meant to ask you, what was the best part of the trip for you yesterday? The campfire and shenanigans afterwards?
So I know what you're referring to. When Cody had made, you could hear it, like you said, you could hear it in his voice, like, and Cody's usually not like that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we can do it. So immediately, I was playing tail gunner yesterday, which is new for me.
Because Jose's not here.
Yeah.
Jose's not here.
Thanks, Jose.
Immediately the big boys, the big rigs, just went nope and started turning around. And for me, looking up and seeing, it looked like a traffic jam up that mountain, because I'm a quarter mile away at the back of the pack, and he's talking about, yeah, this looks bad. Well, I guess I'll just take the guys back, because there was that narrow spot that was even more difficult for the big trucks to get through on the way back.
Yeah.
We literally had to scrape some of the rocks away so that Mark could get through. But to me, like sitting down there, yeah, I don't really look I don't like the idea of sitting in traffic on the side of that mountain waiting to get to that spot. I'll just go back with it. So
there was some I went to bed early as expected. There was some campfire shenanigans apparently after I went to bed. The last 2 hours this morning have been talking about the shenanigans that occurred.
Yes.
Apparently there's some video evidence, but we don't know that will ever be released.
It's just for us.
It's again one of those things that happens at the campfire. You know.
Good times. Well, once again, guys, thanks for putting on a great event. Everyone's enjoying themselves. We have a great crew here. It appeared like all 20 or so, 25 people showed up.
Yeah, well, we had a couple last-minute cancellations, but for the most part, you know, we had Jose and 3 others that canceled last minute. But we've said it before, you know, we're very fortunate when we put on an event, everybody that shows up gets along. I think if you listen to the show and you know our personalities, you know what you get. You're either going to want to hang out with us at the campfire or you're not. So we're very fortunate that everybody shows up, everybody gets along, it all works.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of the show, guys, if you haven't tuned in, Trail Chasers podcast, you can find them on Instagram at The Trail Chasers. And it's a great show. They go live on YouTube every Monday night around 6:30 or whenever you guys get to the mic.
6:30-ish.
So make sure you tune in for the live show. The live chat's always a blast. You'll get to chat with a lot of us in the chat room. Everyone that's here is usually there.
Yeah.
And those are the people that usually show up to these events. We have a great time. So once again, thanks for putting it on. We appreciate it.
Thanks for coming, man. Appreciate it.
The convoy headed out about noon in the general direction of the Desert Bar. As you approach the Desert Bar, you'll see a lot of rusty relics and antiques. Parking is on a first-come, first-served basis. The Desert Bar dates back to 1983 when the founder, Ken Coughlin, brought the first truckload of materials, some wood, a hammer and nails, and an 8-foot bench. He cracked open his first beer and, boy, I'll tell you, not much has changed. However, the Desert Bar has gotten larger and more sophisticated with plumbing, solar panels, and a grill. But the vibe is still the same. Desert hospitality. Some people will find their way to the Desert Bar via a 5-mile dirt road, and others will opt for a more challenging travel via an old mining road. No matter how you get there, you'll order your own food, seat yourself, and if you're old enough, order yourself a drink. The bar is typically open weekends and has a live band from time to time. Now 73-year-old Ken says he'll continue to construct his Desert Bar until the good Lord says he can't do it any longer. He typically adds on to the Desert Bar in the off-season. The Desert Bar has provided Ken with enough income so he could build his own private desert oasis not far from the bar. He says he likes it that way, a short commute. You see these two guys? They're coming up with an alternate plan, a route, let's say, back to camp. However, this one's going to be even more challenging than the last, starting with this massive washout. We had to divide the group up into two, the advanced group and the group that would return back to camp without trying these obstacles. So stay tuned. Things are going to get even more interesting. A minor lapse in focus found one of the drivers off the trail. We were able to winch them back safely. The Forerunner only suffered from a damaged mudflap. We were back on the trail in no time. Some of you know just how difficult it is to direct, film, and drive these old mining roads. We want to thank you for being the very best part of Trail Adventures TV. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you on the next Trail Adventure.